Crystal from livingwithgastroparesis.com, and in this video I want to talk about a new meal replacement drink that I just found. So if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I've been a big fan of Orgain for a long time, and they have a number of formulations and there are definitely a lot of pros to Orgain, but as I've said in my blog posts, it's not perfect, so I'm always looking for something that is. I'm always looking for a better or an alternative option for people for whom Orgain may not work. And if you don't even know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Orgain, I will put links to my articles and reviews on that product below this video. And we're going to talk a little bit about how this new drink compares to Orgain. But first, let me introduce you to what I'm talking about. This is PlantFusion Complete Plant Protein, and this is a ready-to-drink meal supplement drink, and they do have a protein powder that I've written about in my blog, and those of you who've gone through my program, it's one of the protein powders that I recommend trying out. It doesn't work for everybody. I like that its ingredients are very simple. It's dairy-free, it's soy-free, but some people don't tolerate it very well. I actually happen to be one of those people. I used it for a while, but I realized that it was actually exacerbating some of my symptoms like bloating. So I saw this yesterday, and I really wasn't sure because like I said, the protein powder doesn't necessarily settle that well with me, so I wasn't sure how the meal replacement drink would be different, but more so for you guys than for myself. I figured I had to give it a try and really look into it and see what it has to offer. So what I like about it, it's gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. It is fortified with some vitamins. It's GP friendly, it's low fat and low fiber. It's actually maybe a little too low fat. We'll talk about that in a minute. That may sound strange, but I'll explain my reasoning. So I tried this today, and from a tolerability standpoint, I didn't notice anything. I didn't notice any bloating. I didn't notice, any stomach aches. It was only one time, so I can't really say for sure. But it seemed to be fine. From a taste standpoint, it's very thick tasting. If you remember the original Orgain, so probably, I don't know how many years ago that was now, maybe 4 years ago. If you were one of the people who started with Orgain when I did, before they had the screw-off tabs, when you just opened it with a foil wrapper, that was a very thick formulation. This is very similar to that, but I actually quite liked it. I put it over ice, I watered it down, and it was tasty. It seemed to settle just fine. So I want to compare it to the Vegan Orgain. So if, again, those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that my daughter is allergic to dairy and I don't eat dairy at all anymore. So the original Orgain is totally out for me, which is unfortunate because I tolerated it really well. I thought it tasted great, and I was a big fan of it. But so that's not an option for me anymore. So I've been left with the Vegan Orgain, and I'll be completely honest with you, I don't love it. It's made with brown rice, primarily brown rice protein, and it definitely has a gritty texture. There's a little bit of an aftertaste and a little bit of texture issue for me that I just, I don't love it. So I think I would say I like this better from a taste perspective, definitely from a texture perspective. This, the PlantFusion is a plant-based protein that's made with pea protein, artichoke protein, sprouted amaranth, and sprouted quinoa. And so the Vegan Orgain is organic brown rice, organic sprouted chia seeds, organic flax powder, and organic hemp protein concentrate. So a couple of things to note here. The texture of this I think is better. Both products have things in them that I would not individually consider GP friendly. So for the Orgain, I don't really recommend chia seeds, sprouted or not, for people with gastroparesis. They can be really irritating to the GI tract. I don't tend to recommend hemp. It tends to be, again, a more higher fiber, a less easier to digest protein. Flax, again, it's not something that I usually recommend. This also has rice bran in it. It has inulin. Just in general, several things that by themselves I would not recommend. But PlantFusion has those things, some of those things too. So this has, again, inulin, which I wouldn't typically recommend. There is carrageenan in this. So if you remember back several posts on Orgain, if you've been following for a while, it used to have carrageenan, which is a potential GI irritant. And there are different ways that carrageenan can be made, different ways it can be derived. This is derived from seaweed. There's not a lot of evidence that it's necessarily bad for people with GI conditions, but I'm kind of the opinion that if you can avoid it, do. And certainly, you know, be careful of an everyday consumption. So this does have carrageenan in it. The Orgain does not. They have since removed that. So there's no clear winner necessarily on ingredients. The Orgain is certified organic. There are some organic ingredients in the PlantFusion, but it's not completely organic. So the sprouted amaranth and the sprouted quinoa in the protein itself are organic. But they're both gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. In terms of the nutritionals, because I know that's what a lot of you are wondering, the Orgain I would consider more of a meal replacement. I still recommend boosting it up a little bit if it's going to be like your main meal, if it's going to be a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But it's got 220 calories, 6 grams of fat, 2 grams of fiber, and 16 grams of protein. So it's a fairly complete mini meal. The PlantFusion, on the other hand, it only has 2 grams of fat, it only has 150 calories, it has 2 grams of fiber, but it does have 19 grams of protein. So this I would consider more of a snack. This would be a great between meal option. Or you can boost this up. You can, if you tolerate this well, you might choose to add a banana and a scoop of nut butter to make a meal replacement smoothie. That would be a great option. And it's low enough in fat, it's only 2 grams of fat, so it's low enough in fat that you can put in some of those nutrition boosters and most likely still tolerate it as a meal replacement. But I would not consider this a meal replacement on its own. It does not have enough calories and it does not have enough fat. If you've followed me for any length of time, you know that I am really adamant that a GP-friendly diet is not a no-fat diet. We need fat to function. Our brains need fat, absolutely, and our whole entire body needs fat. So at 2 grams of fat and 150 calories, it's not a meal replacement drink on its own. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you guys? So in terms of another thing about ingredients, the PlantFusion contains fructose, which I don't love, and I tend not to eat things with fructose added because I am typically on a low FODMAP diet, and fructose is high FODMAP. Again, I'll put a link to that below if you have no clue what I'm talking about right now. So there is fructose in the PlantFusion. But in the Orgain, while there is not fructose, there are a number of higher FODMAP ingredients. So there are fruit blends and vegetable blends in the Orgain. This is pretty much strict protein and vitamins and minerals. So this is protein, vitamins, and minerals, and added fruit and vegetables. And there are several of those fruits and vegetables that are high in FODMAPs. There are beets, there are raspberry, apple. So even though this has fructose and this doesn't, I can't necessarily say that either one is better from a FODMAP standpoint. I think from the protein mixes alone, you know, some of those may be higher in FODMAP. So neither one is perfect. I wish I could tell you for sure that one of these would work for you. I can't. But I do think that if you have not had success with the Vegan Orgain, the PlantFusion is a reasonable thing to try in its place. If you're looking for a liquid nutritional supplement, again, this is not a meal replacement, but if you're looking for something to supplement your nutrition a little bit, if you're looking for something to give you more protein, I think this is a reasonable thing to try. Let's see if there was anything else. Oh, the sugar content. I did want to talk about that because if you remember, I did a video way back in, I don't know, probably 2010, 2011, comparing meal replacement drinks. And I talked about Boost and Ensure and Carnation Instant Breakfast and Orgain. And I talked in that video a lot about sugar content. A typical gastroparesis friendly diet is way too high in sugar. And these meal replacement drinks, not these in particular, but meal replacement drinks in general can easily contribute to that. Some of them are very high in sugars. If you're eating those ones I just mentioned, if you're drinking those ones I just mentioned, go back and watch that video. I'll link to that below too. But what I like about both of these is they're low in added sugars. So there's only 7 grams of sugar in the PlantFusion. No sugar alcohols. That's something else I really want to point out. So people will sometimes email me about meal replacement drinks that they found that have no sugar, like 0 grams of sugar, but they're full of sugar alcohols, which are do not tend to be good for people with functional GI disorders. They're really difficult for the GI tract to tolerate. Those are definitely high FODMAP, and even for people who aren't sensitive to FODMAPs, the sugar alcohols can be tough on the GI tract. So these are low in sugar without added sugar alcohols. That's an important distinction. And if there are sugar alcohols in something, you'll see it listed in the nutrition panel below the sugar count. So there's 7 grams of sugar in the PlantFusion, and there's 9 grams of sugar in the Vegan Orgain. So both of them have just about 2 teaspoons of sugar. There's 4 grams of sugar per teaspoon, so there's about 2 teaspoons of sugar in each of these. Much better than those more traditional meal replacement drinks that I mentioned a little bit ago. And like I said, I think either one of these is appropriate to try. Neither one is perfect. Neither one is going to work for everybody. I don't use them that much anymore in my diet as I used to. I used to drink Orgain in particular very frequently, once or twice a day. But I do think that these will be options that I'll keep on hand. You know, probably, to be honest, the PlantFusion, and it will probably be more of a smoothie base for me. So like I said, to make a breakfast, for example, adding a banana and some peanut butter, or we're tree nut free in our house, but if you're not, almond butter, something like that, would make a pretty well balanced, GP friendly meal replacement. So I hope that answers your questions. If you guys have more questions that I didn't answer, go ahead and ask them on my blog. You can ask them on Facebook. You can find me at facebook.com/Crystal Saltrelli, CHC, and of course on my website at www.livingwithgastroparesis.com. And just a quick note, I was talking about sugar and how the typical gastroparesis friendly diet is really high in sugar. I just want to let you guys know that we're trying something new and hopefully something that's going to be really helpful starting August 1st. My assistant Becky, who is an LWWGP, Living Well with Gastroparesis, mentor and coach, is going to be running a 3-week program that's going to take you guys through my class, The Brighter Side of Eating for Gastroparesis, which is all about getting the white out of your diet, and it's about putting more color, more nutrient-rich foods into your diet. And so it's going to be basically a private Facebook group, and Becky's going to take you guys through 3 weeks of implementing what you learn in that video class. So if you want more information about that, you can just go to www.livingwithgastroparesis.com, go to the blog, there's a post with a ton more information, but I just wanted to let you know that that is coming up. It is limited to 20 participants, so if you're interested, I would sign up ASAP, because I'm guessing it's going to fill up, and it's probably going to fill up pretty quickly. If this is successful, if you guys like it, if you find it beneficial, this is something that we may continue doing more of, so please do let us know. All right, with that said, I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.